life is not patta without katta. I was able to grab every opportunity that came my way. You can take a horse to the water, but you can't force the horse to drink the water, right? So 21 years in the marketing career, it's been pretty challenging. I started off immediately after college, right? At college, I was an introvert. I was involved in a lot of clubs and societies, but I was never the president, right? I was always the secretary because my writing was good. And, immediately after my A-levels, I had to find a job. My first job was in a company called Yellow Pages, where I had to sell directory space. Yellow Pages is the directory company, and I had to sell advertising space on the directory through the phone, right? So I had to call people. It was a really bad year for Sri Lanka. Economically, the country was really down, and life was tough at that time. But fortunately, I was able to achieve, I think, close to around 88% of sales during that year. I think I was the highest performing salesperson in the company at that during that year. But unfortunately, according to company policy, if I was not a permanent employee of the company, and if I hadn't achieved 100% in sales, I had to give my resignation, right? So imagine my shock when my boss called me to his office and said, I'm sorry, Shehan, you need to hand in your resignation. I was shocked, right? But unfortunately, that was the company policy. I couldn't change it. So I had to give my resignation that day. It was a very, I think you could call it the turning point in my life. When I was leaving the company, I had said my goodbyes to everyone. As I was leaving, the secretary of the marketing department, she gave me a piece of paper and said, Malli, මේක දැන් බලන්න එපා. පස්සේ බලන්න. Right? Don't look at this now. Or දැන් upset එකේ ඉන්නවා ගෙදර ගිහලා බලන්න. I was too upset at that time to even look at that piece of paper. I just put it in my pocket and went home. In the evening, while I was having my cup of tea, I remembered this piece of paper this lady had given me, right? And I opened it up. It was my interview evaluation form, right? When you go to a job, if you go to a good company for the interview, they would take down some points about you, right? You know what my interview evaluation form said? It said, this boy is an introvert. He would never be able to come forward and speak. He would never be a good team player. And frankly, I don't recommend him for this job, right? I don't know how I got that job in the first place. When I saw this evaluation about myself, right? I knew these things about myself. I always knew I was an introvert. I knew that I was not able to come forward and speak. But knowing it and seeing somebody else giving that opinion about you, that really impacted me, right? And, I realized that for me and my family to come out of the hole that we were in at that moment, I needed to improve myself. And I was looking at different avenues to improve myself. I was fortunate enough to be appointed the president of our youth fellowship in church at that time. I was also fortunate enough to join the Leo Club of Colombo Host at that time. Through these positions that I got, I grabbed every opportunity that came my way. And within a couple of years, I was able to come forward and speak with confidence. I think if you had met me about 15, maybe even 20 years ago, you wouldn't believe I'm doing some of the things that I'm doing right now. So it has been a tough and challenging career and work life, but I think I have been able to come out of that successfully. So I think my biggest motivation factor initially was to come out of the situation that my family was in. I really wanted to have a successful life, right? And I never wanted to be honest, never wanted a luxurious life, but I wanted to have a comfortable life. And this is what really motivated me. I really wanted to achieve and amount to something in life. And another thing that really drove me was whatever thing that I accepted, I really wanted to be the best at it, right? For example, if I took over the job as a quiz master, I really wanted to be the best in Sri Lanka, right? If I became the Leo district president or any other position, I wanted to be the best I could be in that position for in Sri Lanka, right? So I think those are the factors that kept me really, going. I think the biggest challenge that I had to overcome was the initial fear of public speaking, coming forward and, presenting in front of an audience. So I think that was the biggest challenge I had to overcome. And I believe that, I was able to grab every opportunity that came my way. That's saying that, you can take a horse to the water, but you can't force the horse to drink the water, right? So I believe that when opportunity came my way, I grabbed hold of it, and I believe, I was able to overcome that challenge with that. That's actually a good question. So I do a lot of things, right? So in addition to a full-time job, I am involved in corporate training. I conduct quizzes. I have 3 kids that I really love to be with. I play with them. I get involved with them. I'm involved in church as well. So I'm very involved with my family, my church, a lot of areas, right? So I think it's very important to prioritize things. I think we need to understand what is really important. For me, to be honest, nothing comes first other than my work at church. So I always leave my ministry, my church, and I put God always first in my life. Then comes my family, and then comes my career and other aspects, right? So I think if you manage to prioritize, if you really understand what your priorities are, and if you know what needs to be done to achieve the different expectations in those aspects, I think that will really help you. Prioritizing is really important. So you need to understand, so there are some things that we cannot compromise, right? So if it is your child's education is something to do with your child. So if, for example, if my daughter is having a concert or a sports meet, I will forego every other thing and make it a point to be there, right? I believe that as a parent, I need to be there. I also believe from right throughout my 21-year career, I've always believed my work at office stops at 5 or 5:30. A lot of managers don't believe that, but I really firmly believe in that. For me, that balance is really important. If I do have extra work or tight deadlines, I leave office early. I come back home, spend time with my family, I put my kids to bed, and then I work in the night, right? So for me, my priorities are very clear. So I will not compromise on those at all. Yes. So so the times that we are going through, the past 4 or 5 generations have not gone through this, right? I think the last time the world experienced something like this was in the 1920s with the Spanish flu. So I think this is something totally new to us. I also believe that this is a fantastic opportunity, right? Personally, 2020 promised to be one of the best ever years for me, right? But when the pandemic struck, you know, most of my plans had to be canned, but I was able to adapt quickly. I was able to really adapt quickly. Personally, in January this year, as I said before, as you said before, I'm a quiz master. In January this year, I had to conduct a quiz, right? It was a quiz. No, I'm someone used to doing physical face-to-face quiz programs. I've been doing that for over 10 years, right? In January, I had to do a quiz where I had to use a mechanism, an electronic device. I hated that. I spoke to the client. I tried to sort of somehow stop that from happening because I believe the face-to-face interaction had to happen, right? I still believe that it's really important. But when this pandemic struck, I realized personally as a quiz master, I had to adapt to this situation and come up with something new. That's when I got this idea of hosting these online quiz programs. And you won't believe, right? The opportunities that I have got now, I had never had before in the past 10 years as a quiz master, right? I now conduct a quiz every week, whereas earlier it was maybe 2 or 3 quizzes every year. Now I conduct 3 quizzes a month, minimum of 3 quizzes, right? That was because I was able to adapt. So I believe this year is bad for those who want to make it bad. Right? If you really want to make this year work, I believe this pandemic situation is a good opportunity. A lot of guys think, I've spoken to some people, they think it's a good time to rest, right? Yeah, it's good to rest, right? It's always good to rest and relax and, take a step back and try to ponder on what is happening right now. But once that initial pondering and relaxation is done, you make sure you do that for about 2 weeks and then get back into business. I think this is a wonderful opportunity for everyone to really step up. There are ways to really improve yourself. There are so many things online now, right? There are so many educational courses online, so many resources that young guys and girls can make use of. I think this year is the best opportunity, right? You can't go out, like you can't have fun and have parties or go out and get together with your friends as we used to, right? So make the most of this opportunity. I'm sure if this pandemic didn't happen, most of us would be outside having our usual, fun stuff going around. But I think that this is a fantastic opportunity. Make the best of it. And I think we can come out successful. I want to tell you that how we adapt in this pandemic is going to define our future, right? Those who adapt to the situation well will succeed in life in the future. Okay, I want to I want to quote something that I always quote in my training programs, right? So there was a famous tuk-tuk quote. When you drive around the streets of Colombo, there are tuk-tuks, three-wheelers with different quotes. Some of those quotes have a really deep meaning. So one quote that really really impacted me was, it said, life is not patta without katta, right? Life is not patta without katta. Meaning, you need to undergo some suffering or pain or undergo some effort in order for your life to be patta or good, right? So that is my advice. Katta kෑවට කමක් නැහැ. Life එක patta වෙනවනම්, right? So I think you guys are still young. I think this is a time for you to really work hard and come up to a certain level. Once you're maybe in your 40s or 50s, you can relax a bit. But I think now's the time. Now's the best time, right? You're young, you're vibrant, you have a lot of energy. When you hit 45, 50, the energy levels drop, right? So make hay while the sun shines, they say. So make the best of it. Thank you so much once again for the opportunity. I hope I made sense with what I said. I hope, if I am able to impact even one person in this world with what I said, I think I have achieved. Thank you very much once again for the opportunity.